Hey everyone, Jenna here, and I am just going to spend a few minutes walking you through a few things on the Legends of Learning website. Legends of Learning also has an iPad app, but for purposes of simplicity, I'm just going to stick with the website version tonight. So first of all, you go to www.legendsoflearning.com, and this is their main landing page. And the first thing I notice off the bat is that the graphics are very appealing to your middle school audience, which is the targeted audience of Legends of Learning. One thing I also noticed, though, that kind of threw me off at the beginning is there's no place on the Legends of Learning page to sign in. So once you have an account, you can't just go sign in on the anchor page, which I felt was a bit odd, and it took me a second to figure out what to do. So, but there is a place to join on here. So, and subscribing to Legends of Learning is very simple. It just asks for your first and last name and email address to get started. So it's a very simple process. To log in once you have created an account, you actually have to go to a different website. It's sort of the same website, but you have to type in something different. You have to go into your URL and go to login.legendsoflearning.com, which I kind of felt was a bit clunky and a bit counterintuitive to not have it on here on the page somewhere, but it's not that big of a hassle really. So go to login.legendsoflearning.com, and this is also the page that your students would go to when they go in to play the games that you have established for them to play. So you press access now, and you get two options: to register if you haven't already registered for an account by that point, you can, or to log in. Mine automatically logs me in. If you're using the same computer all the time, it will just automatically log you in, which is a nice feature. So you'll notice up here that it says that my account has 3,003 coins. So the way that the process works is that every time a student plays a game, it requires the use of a coin from the teacher's account. And you get a certain number of coins as when you sign up as sort of a trial, because this is still a fairly new website and it seems to be out of beta mode. At least it doesn't say beta mode anywhere on the website, but there's still a lot of stuff I think that is being worked out and kind of felt out on how it's going to work with the learning community. So the subjects, of course, Earth Science, Life Science, Physical Science, these are all NGSS aligned from what I could tell. And you can click on and see that they have tons of games for pretty much every topic. So I'm just going to click one because, as you can see, it's pretty much everything that you would possibly ever need. So we're going to click on photosynthesis here, and you'll see that there are a bunch of games on photosynthesis. So what I would do, and it even gives the next generation science standard that goes with it, I'm going to create a playlist. And I would click create a playlist here. And I can drag up whichever games that I would like to do with my students. So I'm going to do this one right here. I'm going to pull it in. Usually I would look through these first, but for sake of time. And then I'm going to click a shorter one. I'm going to click this Eureka photosynthesis here. And then I'm going to make the rest of it free play. Now, the limitation with this that I have found, and there may be a trick to getting around this or something that I haven't seen yet, but once I make this playlist, so I'm going to make this playlist called photosynthesis. I'm going to press save. And so this is now saved to my playlist. So let's say I wanted to do this playlist with my students. I have to launch it And when I launch it, I give instructions, and it says, tells the students where to go and to put in the launch code. The problem with this is that as soon as this has started, as soon as this launch code has been started, you'll notice that progress is already being made over here on the progress bar. So it's already counting down from 60 minutes. The problem with that is that this website talks about how it's geared towards flipped classrooms and blended learning. And blending learning, something like this is great. But flipped classroom, I don't really see how it's possible to do this as a flipped classroom model, because it does it in real time. And because we know that not all students are going to go home and be on the computer at the exact same time, it seems like it isn't possible at this time for me to assign this as a homework assignment for my students. So I think that's one of the constraints, and that's what I mentioned as one of my main concerns with Legends of Learning at this time. But aside from that, I'm going to actually go to a playlist that I did with a class of students, so you can see, because right now I don't have any students that are tracking, so you can't really see anything. But once you had students that join in, they would show up on here, and it would show where they are at in the progress. But the other day I did this food webs in an ecosystem playlist with my and see, I'll say too, this is actually another one of my pet peeves with what's going on right now, is the last time I clicked on this learning objective, the food webs in an ecosystem with the playlist, it showed me my student progress, and now I'm clicking on it and it's not working. It's showing what I can build as a playlist, but it's not showing the playlist that I already created, and it should. So that's a little frustrating for this presentation, but also frustrating because there seems to sometimes be a lack of consistency in when things are showing up, or the system seems to lag sometimes. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but nevertheless, we will take a second and look into this. So one of the other things that I wanted to point out, the animations are fantastic. So I'm going to just play through the first minute or so of this game so that you can see what I'm talking about. You're going to immediately notice the animations are bright and vibrant, very appealing to a middle school audience, which, again, because that's their target audience, fantastic. They did a great job with that. So right now, because I am using a home network and I am the only one online right now, this is going very fast. What I noticed is when there were 30 students trying to play the same set of games at the same time on the same school Wi-Fi network, it was dragging, it would stop playing intermittently. And I think that's because these games require lots of bandwidth, it seems, and when you have lots of students using lots of bandwidth, most of the schools are going to have a little bit of trouble with connection speed and bandwidth usage. So watch out for that. So you're going to see here, it gives facts, and these are, so it's great for all of your levels of learning. You can even start out, so we're going to do producers, consumers, decomposers. And again, it's starting to give information. So if a student came in and they couldn't remember a single thing about the lesson you had taught, it's right there in front of them. If they already knew all of this, they could just quickly click right through it. This is a pace yourself kind of lesson, so not all students have to be on the same thing at the same time. They can go at their own pace, which is a great feature of this website. And so here we get to some interactive points. Now this is a very simplistic animation and drag and drop. I've seen much more complex games on here. This one's a pretty simple one. So I would look at this and I would go, oh, well, you know, I think that this guy's a consumer. And I think that this guy's a decomposer. And it tells me whether I'm right or not, and it goes on. And you can see how this would be appealing, more appealing than just a standard worksheet. It saves paper, it meets the same objectives, and I can track progress of my students as they do it. So let's see if this will let me think. And one of the things I wanted to point out too is that unfortunately students have to have usernames, and that sometimes becomes a pain because they never remember their usernames. I mean, it's just like you can see this kid right here had to go in twice in the space of 20 minutes and make 2 usernames because they couldn't remember the first username. Same thing with this one, 2 usernames here. So your class list and of people who are enrolled can get overfilled and crowded, and then you have to go in and clean it out, and that can get kind of frustrating. So I do wish they could come up with a way that they don't have to have a permanent username so that it just stores it for that game. And I don't know if that's possible, but I think that would be an aesthetic upgrade to this. All right, I'm gonna try one more time, see if I can get this game of mine to come up. Let's see if this one will come up. See, none of my games are coming up, and I can imagine that if I were in a classroom and I had created a playlist and expected it to come up and it didn't, that would be really frustrating to me. So, and as you can see, this is the one that I had launched a few minutes ago, and it's still going. Saved playlist. See, my saved playlist should be coming up right here. It's not. The other thing that you can do, you can create an assessment and make your own questions, and that's kind of fun. So overall, looking at this website, there really is a ton of good features. I think that Legends of Learning has some minor issues that they are probably still working through because, as I've mentioned a few times, this is a relatively new learning platform on the EdTech market. And so I don't think it would be fair to just get frustrated and throw the baby out with the bathwater, because they really have put a lot of work into making lots of good products, and it's quite well done. I would like to see a few of the things I mentioned in my blog to be improved upon in order to put it in the standings with some of your go-to staples for EdTech resources for your kids. Overall, fantastic. Definitely worth the free trial. So try it out, see what you think, see if it's something that your students get into, and then after that, evaluate whether or not it would be worth the $10 per student fee to purchase the licenses. So, and that's all I have to say. Have a great day, everybody.